Now, you first started playing music at a very young age, right? What was the first ever music instrument that you picked up?
So, I mean, basically, schools in Malaysia, we start playing the recorder.
Yeah.
At the age of 10.
Oh, yeah.
At that point of time,
Yeah.
So, actually, I played really bad. The first song in the book was Mary Had a Little Lamb. I can recall it, and I played very bad. And my friends around me, they could play the songs which is not in the book, like the Titanic themes and so on. So I used to run away from my music class. Where teacher used to catch me and hit me over here. I mean, on the fingers, and just really painful. So actually, I do not love. I started running away from music, but during the same point of time, I heard a song, and that song really touched me. And from there, actually, the same flute which I was running away, it took me about 2 hours. I figured out how to play it. And then eventually, when I was 15 years old, my first official instrument is the bass guitar. At the point of time, the bass guitar was almost my height. And when I put it on, it's like holding a shotgun or something like that. And people used to laugh at me like, are you playing the guitar or the guitar is playing you? But all those words actually gave me the encouragement. I did not get discouraged. I continued to have... build the momentum in myself and continue to pick up music from there actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Something happened about 16 years ago. You woke up one morning and suddenly you had significant hearing loss in one side of your ear.
Yep.
What happened?
So this is the thing whereby it's very hard to explain because when it's just like when you wake up in the morning, you just realize that you can't hear anything on your left side. And the most significant thing is that when you lose your left side hearing, our organs, our eyes and ears actually hold our body balance actually. So when you lose one of it, you can't basically stand because the organ can't. You basically can't stand actually. So I was thinking like maybe my ears is blocked or something like that. So they rushed me to the hospital and so on, and they did a check, and then they told me that you lost your left side hearing. There's no symptoms. There's no any pre-symptoms. Like for example, if you want to have fever, you're gonna get fever. You will have like sore throat and so on. But this is nothing like that. It's just like an overnight thing that happened and so on.
But were you worried at that time that will I probably lose the other side of
yes,
hearing
of course
as well?
there is a question around. Actually, there's a lot of questions around in my mind at the point of time. It's like actually why and what's going on, what will be happen in my future, and what if I lose this hearing, how will I be, and so on. So and a bit sad thing is that during that time people around me actually came to me and like instead of encouraging me, they just kind of say, oh, you did something, that's why God is punishing you and all this. So they were actually these things actually add more more weightage on me and so on.
As a budding musician, having lost half of your hearing, that must have been quite devastating for you.
So initially it is devastating, but like over the years I actually eventually learned to actually I needed to make a couple of adjustments, and then actually I was able to play. So for example, I just need to move the amplifier to my right hand side, and then I use a earphone which like contains the sound on the one, just comes on a one specific ear. So all those things actually eventually helps me to it's a struggle at first, but eventually I can start seeing the results of betterment after that.
Right.
Okay. Now let's talk about your traveling journey now.
Yeah.
You told us just now that you're a full-time traveler.
Yeah.
But of course now with COVID-19 and all, you haven't been traveling much. But what kick-started this traveling journey of yours?
So actually few incidents in my life actually stirred me up to do this. Actually one of it was the passing of my brother through a road accident actually. So that actually questions like what is the purpose of life, like why am I here, and so what are the legacy that I'm leaving actually, because there is a start and there's an end point, and in between that is where we are. So what are we leaving behind, or what are we impacting people? So with these things actually in August 2014 I decided to buy a first ticket to my country. It was actually Myanmar, and don't know anyone there actually. So the purpose of me like traveling was actually just to go there and just share my story, hoping it will inspire someone. That was the initial idea that I have actually. But then I didn't know anyone there. But interestingly, 12 hours before my flight, someone contacted me and actually they got everything arranged. So my first music and speaking was in a rural village like 4 hours from the capital. So I went there and I spoke to like a couple of villagers, and then I came. So I stayed there for 3 days. I spoke in few sessions and I came back, and I thought like, okay, that was like one of, because I'm working a full-time job at that point of time.
Right.
But the following month I had another opportunity to go to another country, and then in October there's another country, and then from there every month literally I was away for at least one country from there on, even though while holding a full-time job actually.
What do you speak about at these performances?
Yeah, so I just encourage them with what happened in my life and how do I find the motivation or the source to actually come out and do how to say, leave an impact or leave a legacy in people's life actually. Yeah, so that is basically. And nowadays people want to hear all the interesting countries that I go and how the people, the culture, and all those things that people wants to hear as well actually.
How are you doing this? I mean, how do you sustain that lifestyle? I mean, like at that particular time, you must have been exhausted every month you're traveling.
So this is what happened actually. Every Friday my work finished at 4.
Yeah.
And 5 o'clock I'm already at KLIA actually. Just 1 hour. So I used to work in Bandar Utama. And then on Sunday, probably like Friday night, I already at, for example, I'm already in Myanmar. And then Saturday, Sunday, I'll stay there. And then Monday morning, I flew back
And straight to work.
and I go straight to work actually. So that was what I've been doing for the last how to say, initially was 39 months. I already hit 30 countries. That is where the working organization know that I'm actually doing this actually. After about 30 months actually.
Right.
So they actually volunteered to help in the sense that if I able to do shift adjustment. For example, if I come in at 8 o'clock, I reach Malaysia at 8 o'clock, I can start work at 12 o'clock and do the same 9 hours actually.
All right.
Yeah, so that was, I was able to juggle it. It's really tiring, definitely it's really tiring.
That's very understanding of them
and
though.
yeah, and then you have jet lags and all these things. You're really tired, but the value or like that one day I really feel tired, but the next day I like feel okay. No, we need to go on. We need to find, because the people that I met or the people that actually hear the talks and the words they shared to me really inspired me to go on actually.
Okay. Tell us about some of the more interesting places that you've been. 102 countries.
102 countries.
In 6 years.
In approximately
That's
6 years
nuts.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So initially, like countries like, for example, there are countries like Vanuatu. There's probably not many people heard actually. It's in the Pacific actually.
A lot of volcanoes.
Volcanoes and so on. Yeah. So this country is quite interesting because literally when you walk out, like you walk on the streets, everyone will be waving at you. Like this, they'll be doing like, hey.
Yeah.
I was like, why do they? But that's like part of the culture actually. They do to people. And then you have countries like Afghanistan, Somalia, Syria, whereby people have like a certain fear or something. But it's really beautiful country, really beautiful people, and you will be amazed with the kind hospitality of people there. Especially when you say you're Malaysian, they like it actually.
What do you do when you get to a country, for example? Because you say you have a speaking engagement and then you perform as well. What do you do when you get to a country? Do you have a contact person in each country?
So it's actually it works both ways actually. Sometimes if I have a contact, then I have like a full schedule. Like probably I'll be just one day in one country. There were times like that. So when I arrive in the morning, I already have like, just straight from the airport, I already have speaking engagement. Could be up to 4 or 5 sessions in a day. And then the night I sleep and I continue the next day to another nation. So it's very full. I don't have any time to actually see things like any like sightseeing and so on. So it's basically not a sightseeing tour that I have the opportunity to go and see things outside. So it's basically like meeting people and so on. There were times actually I don't have contacts, or I don't have the right contacts basically. So it's a bit hard and sometimes I get stuck. I have to stay 2 days in the airport and to wait for the right person to come and so on. So some of those speaking engagement could be as less as 2 or 3 people, and the best could be as like a big as a TV station or radio station and so on. So basically this is like how in a nutshell it's been done actually. Yeah.
Were you very depressed after this whole thing started? Like your hearing disability and all that?
Initially, yes, actually, because the thing is, no one can understand what I'm going through, because many people, for example, some people will be sitting on my left hand side and they keep on talking and I feel like, oh, it's very hard. I can't even tell them, hey, stop talking. I can't understand. So it was very hard and no one understands. And beyond that is like, I feel like a low confidence in myself, because when you lose something, you feel, even though you're surrounded by your friends and so on, but you feel like a low esteem and so on. So this was the initial stages that I was going on. So this thing actually started giving me depression, because I don't have anyone to share about it. And even if I share, people don't understand. They will just say, hey, don't worry, you're fine and so on. But so these are the initial struggles that I have. But eventually I realized that it's all these struggles is like a glue that is actually pulling us. But it's all about us making a decision actually to say that, okay, what happened is already happened, but how can I go on from here? How can I push myself to go beyond this? And that are the things that actually slowly helps me to enable me to go far.
Do you have a favorite country, or is there a like something that happened that was truly memorable for you in a certain country?
I was for me it was Somalia actually. Because initially I wanted to go Somalia, but because of certain restrictions I couldn't make it. I couldn't go in. But one of these guy from the consulate of Saudi, he just this officer just came to me and approached me, and I just shared what am I doing to him. He just came to me and took my guitar case, and he went in. He met the ambassador, and he came out half an hour later with a question like, "Do you know anyone in Somalia?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't even know anyone." Then I just told him honestly, I don't know anyone. He just said, "Don't worry, we will just organize everything for you. We want Somalia to be part of your tour. We want Somalia to be number 97 in your tour." So long story cut short, I was there. They actually organized everything, and I was able to go to the Somalia national TV to share my story actually.
Wow.
So not many people who actually can go until there, but that was a really memorable experience. And you see a small step that we take actually, and you can see people just coming on our way to actually help us and so on actually. So Somalia, and then another country was definitely Syria. Syria, it's really beautiful. Damascus is really beautiful, and people there really love music, and of course I did a special concert for them there in Syria, Damascus, and I was able to share my journey there as well.
Okay.
So music sort of helped you bridge the cultural
Absolutely.
barrier,
Yep,
sort
absolutely.
of.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a story to share with us on how music or how performing in another country actually made you friends with a complete stranger?
So, to be honest, I can tell you more than one story, because everywhere I go, first, like when I start plugging my guitar and start playing, for the first 30 seconds, no one will come. But for me, when I play a song, I close my eyes. On the 4th minute, like towards the end of the song, I realized there's like people surrounded me, and then like from no friends, I suddenly have like a lot of friends. People like started helping me. People like say, "Hey, can you follow me here? Can you guide me here?" And so on. So that one moment, music just connects and breaks all barriers, and I make a lot of friends actually from there. Actually. Yeah.
What is the most important lesson though that you've learned from traveling the world and playing your music?
We need to appreciate whatever we have first actually. For example, we being in Malaysia, for example, I was when you switch on your light, or you just open up your tap, there's water or electricity, but really half of the countries I travel doesn't even have this facility. So most of the time we don't appreciate the things around us because it's very common or something. So if we start learning to appreciate the things around us, and we can use whatever we have, like for example, we have different talents or different gifts in our life, and we can start using it with a genuine purpose, like how can I make a difference in people's life. You can see ourselves progressing step by step actually.
Right.
So it's not about giving up, and if you can see a rubber band, if you just pull a rubber band behind, if you want to put it far, you want to shoot it far, you have to pull it, stretch it as backwards as possible. Right? Sometimes life is like that, where you feel discouraged, disappointment, everything comes at a point. But come to a point, the rubber band has to be let go, and you will see yourself far actually. So don't give up if you feel discouraged or disappointed in your life. Just keep pressing on, and one day your life will be an inspiration to many people actually.
That is brilliant. I like that.
Wow. So what are your plans for the future now with COVID-19, travel restrictions? What is happening right now?
So, so firstly, I actually came back 1 week before the MCO, which was on 11th of March. I was in Burundi. It's in mid-Africa. So that's like a very interesting country when I was there. So actually I was trying to cover from Egypt all the way to South Africa by land actually. So I ended up only in Burundi, and then my mom was not well, so I had to eventually came back 1 week before that.
Okay.
So now my focus is finishing up my second book. I'm writing my second book actually, just basically on my travel stories, and like, because when I go to talks, I only can cover a certain amount of stories, so people want to know in detail. So I'm trying to work on those books, finishing it up by then, and then if October or January, depending on when the situation gets better, I'm hoping that I can go back to Tanzania and finish all this traveling from down there actually.
How about musical plans? Do you have any plans to further, release an album maybe, or play more music in different venues?
So I actually have 3 albums actually. I did 3 albums, but mostly it's like instrumental and so on. So my next focus will be actually more to producing my other friends' music actually. That is where my direction is. I want to help my other friends who like younger musicians especially, where really have potential but they don't have someone to just actually push them or guide them actually. So that will be my next my next part, which is to encourage them or help them to produce their songs as well. Yeah.
What's your advice then, Jesh, for people who are probably facing some form of adversity, whether it's a disability or not, but still want to pursue their dream or their passion?
Don't think it as a disability first lah. I know it is the disability, but first of all, it's like these disabilities we can use it as a, how to say, like a thing that actually can push us to go more further actually. So first of all, we need to how to say, change our mindset that this is not a disability. I'm normal. How can I go beyond what I've been said actually? Because we in life there is a purpose, and if you find that purpose, or if you how to say, realize that purpose, how earlier you can actually go and make a difference actually. Many people kind of like, oh, I'm doing this, and then when you come to 50 or 60, you realize that what I've been doing all the while. But if you have a set of goals, and if you really want to make a difference, and if you change our mindset, we can actually go further. So first of all, don't think it as a disability. Set your goals, and put a how to say, a track, and beyond that, don't give up.
Now, earlier you said that you want to leave a legacy, right? And that's why you're doing what you're doing right now. What kind of legacy would you like to leave behind?
So for me, it's like, if someone can get inspired, or their life change because of what I'm doing, that itself a big legacy for me. Even though it's like you don't see it, because some of the times you don't see. It's like you're planting a seed, and it's like you don't know whether it will grow. Like for example, you're planting a seed somewhere far, and you're not sure whether it will grow or not. But beyond that is like, for me, it's like I'm doing my part. Like, how can I make a difference? And these are the difference that I'm doing. So I really hope that whenever I travel and so on, someone out there will get inspired or get touched. So these are the basic things that I always think to myself. It's not I'm going to leave like a big legacy or so on, but I just hope that these things will inspire and stir people's heart, and that itself a legacy actually, that I believe actually. Yep.